Hi, Ali. Thanks so much for coming. Before we get started, I just want to make
Thanks for having
sure
me.
our audience knows your background a little bit. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. The short story is a little hard, but my name's Ali. I'm 27 years old. CPS reports, Child Protective Services reports, say that I was 3 months old when things started happening for me. Sexual assault, verbal, physical abuse. But I remember as far as 4 years old, throughout my childhood, I was abused sexually, physically, emotionally, mentally. I'd never seen anything wrong with it because it was something that was always happening within the family. So I never knew that there was something wrong. And about 12 or 13 or so, my biological mother, I call her my surrogate, she started dating every means of authority in my life. Chief of police, my school counselors, my school campus supervisors, my doctors. It turned to the point where her boyfriends and the people that she had around her were always abusing me. I was one out of 6 children, all girls. And for me, my sisters around me used to say that my family loved me more. They always loved me more. And I didn't understand what that meant. We all lived a abusive life in the same house, a different abusive life in the same house. But for me, I was being drugged and put in her bed at night for her boyfriends to sexually assault me. This was always within the family. So eventually, 12 or 13, I really got sick being abused in my own closets at night, and the pain, and then being physically beaten by her because she felt like her boyfriends were paying more attention to me. So then I started running. I started trying to kill myself. I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. So I tried many different things, and then eventually that landed me in a mental hospital for a month, not to mention being in the hospital for some time because of everything that was done. After that, I was put into foster care. After foster care and being in government custody, I thought that everything would slow down. I thought it would be okay, but it just continued. I didn't know what I was into. I didn't know as a kid what was happening. I just knew that some people knew me before I knew them or knew of them, and I didn't know why. In foster care, I started talking to someone who I thought I met online, a few people that I thought I met on my own. They already knew of me. Something always happened. And again, I never knew why. I always thought this was something normal. This is my fault. This is the way things work for me. I moved so many times from foster home to foster home because of situations that happened within the home. I went to 19 high schools in 1 year in my time in foster care. I graduated from my 19th high school. I was moved so much. Nobody ever did anything. Child Protective Services, my social workers, they knew about what was happening, but they never stopped it. They wrote it into the reports. They would just dismiss things. And prior to that, because of who my biological family was, I do not know the truth of who I belong to. I don't have any pictures of myself as a baby. I don't know what the truth is. I was being placed back and forth within the family, so I don't know who was really who, but everybody was scared of my prior last name. So no one wanted to investigate. No one wanted to dig too deep. Law enforcement knew. At one point, my bio mother was beating us. She was recording sexual assault, and she was recording. She would pour Benadryl. She would pour cleaning agents. She would pour milk down my sister's throat, who was allergic to milk because of her medical disability. And she would watch her throw up and she would record it. And she had these tapes in the back of her closet. Now, legally, this was documented and everybody knew about it, but nobody wanted to do anything because who was buying these tapes? And then finally, 15 and a half, I was auctioned to Russia by my pimp. I knew that if I took off with this man that brought me, I would never come back. So I ran. I hid for a year. Child Protective Services still collected money for me. They did nothing about it. And then eventually I came back into the system because I was so scared of everything that was going on. I needed help. I didn't know which way to go. So I came back into the system and it all started again. And then by 19, 1920. I'm sorry if I don't get it exactly right. I'm really stressed out. 1920. I was adopted. I'm adopted. She adopted me as an adult, and things didn't stop from there. But it took a minute, and then here we are. And it's always continued. We've had people break into our house. When they find me again, I've tried to blend in. I've tried to hide, and people have, which is why we're on the road now. We've been on the road for 16 months straight, because we had a situation where we still pay rent and we still have a home in California, but we can't go back there right now because it's not safe. We had someone who broke into the home. We have someone who has killed our animals. I've been poisoned and spent 40 days in the hospital after they found me again when I told them no. We've had someone break into the house and thrash and trash the house but not take anything, just to let us know that they were there. It's been back and forth. And then because I said something about a chief of police, we have been pulled over in 8 different states back to back. Last year, it was February 20th, February 21st, February 22nd, from state to state without a ticket, without any logic. They just pull us over, harass, and want to know, where's your car parked? How long will you be gone? What are you doing? And we haven't gotten a ticket. There was nothing because of that. It was just they were wanting to let us know that they were there. So it's been a lot. And when I say they, I know people are like, who is they? I have been trafficked, unfortunately, sold, and had to be with people from many different types of rings: doctors, lawyers, judges, attorneys, elite politicians, elite accountants, elite celebrities, 2 sitting presidents. Things have just never stopped. So I learned to try to blend, because when I tried to go to therapist or taken to psychologists, people find out about MK Ultra programming and what I've been through, and they want to experiment on me. And that's not going to help. I just want to be, and I just want to be free, and I just want to have peace. I don't want anybody's money or anything more than that. I just want to be.
Wow. Yeah, that's horrible. You said something about your prior last name. Do you know what it is?
Outlaw.
Outlaw.
My name before was Tori Outlaw.
Okay. Maybe we can find out about something. Do you have a guess why they're afraid of it?
Well, my biological mother, whatever anybody wants to call her, she was involved with the Black Panthers. She was involved with many deep satanic things. And so is the whole family. There's a history within the family, and I don't know how deep that goes. I never knew. I still don't know how deep that goes. But everybody was scared, intimidated, and knew not to push any further. And I don't know why. No one's ever helped with the things that have already been put out there, documented. And like I said, I was 1 out of 6 girls. So it didn't, there was things that didn't just happen to me. They happened to other kids that were within the home. So it just didn't make any sense. But I was taken out of the home and put in foster care.
So the police were well aware of the people who have power. When they see your last name, they know who they are and what they've been doing for a long time. This child sex trafficking thing has obviously been going on for a long time. And you also have mentioned that they went as far as building underground tunnels and underground cities all over the world to traffic children, right?
Yes.
And there were like millions of people being trafficked, maybe more. A lot of them are kids. So do you know why are they so obsessed with kids? What do they get from torturing, eating, and raping babies?
Money, power. It's not just about children. There's layers of trafficking. There is sex trafficking. There is labor trafficking. You know, for a drug shipment, you can sell a drug shipment 1 or 2 times until you run out of drugs. But for children and for people, you can sell them until there's literally nothing left of their bodies. After you sell them for human sex trafficking, you can use their empty bodies after they take out all their organs, and they put those on the black market. So if you need a heart or a kidney or something like that from the hospital, these are taken from victims. There's the joke of, if I go to Mexico or somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, I can get a heart for cheap. And those are victims' organs. Once you die, your body is put on ice and they gut you and they take out organs. I'm talking about 5-year-old babies. I'm talking about adults. They take your organs, they put them on the black market. So this is another source of trafficking, and the human sex traffickers work with the organ traffickers. From there, they can use your empty body as a suitcase to they will put you in hearses. They will use your body to stuff drugs and carry them over the border because no one is looking at dead bodies. After that, they use some people have really sick fetishes. Some people have fetishes about having sex with dead bodies, having sex with in the mix of people's limbs, having sex in pools of blood. So they will use your dead body for things like that, as well as what they can get out of you while you're alive. Then there's the situation of your body can be ground up and used as meat. There is they have coined it the term hufu, like tofu, but hufu. It is the equivalent of human tofu substitute, and it's human flesh. And you can look that up right now. That is happening. But many people don't see that because this is my story, and I understand it's a lot to fathom. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for sharing, and I thank you for just opening your heart to try to hear it, because it's not easy to take in. It's not easy to realize that it's happening all around you, everywhere. There is not a place that this is not happening. Every state, every country, this is happening everywhere. And it's been going on for decades. And everybody can't see that because it's been so, there's a huge distraction. Mainstream media, they distract you with race and division. They distract you with gas prices. They distract you with corrupt administrations. They distract you with whatever they can to create this division, so you're not paying attention, but all roads lead to trafficking. They do these things and it becomes a addiction. It becomes a sick habit that they can't stop.
Can you tell me who are consuming those children?
Elite celebrities. Everybody is so worried about the top, but there are so many people on the bottom and in the middle. Your everyday people, your trash pickup, your sports, your everyday people. This is not just about elite celebrities. Everybody wants to have their noses in elite celebrities' business because they feel like this is just going to be this is just this. And everybody's so concerned about the person that I go to their concert and the person that I have their poster, and that's not it. My family was no one special.
So if anyone can be part of this, how come we never heard anything about it? If Trashman can get it, maybe I can get it.
Anyone can get into this life.
Because many people would think, oh, that's illegal. That's very easy to get caught. We gotta have heard stories, right? There's no way we don't hear anything about it. So what happened?
Well, you see it with people that are, you'll hear about it. There are articles and things that come out with finding, I know there was one recently in Georgia where they found 90 children in a home being trafficked in an everyday suburb home. There were 200 children that came off of a container ship in Long Beach. You hear about these things, but these things are suppressed and silenced because no one wants the truth to come out there. No one can fathom the truth. People don't want to cause mass panic and mass hysteria. They don't want to do that, so they hush it. And the system is rigged. The entire system is rigged, from the court systems, the police systems. The systems are rigged. Mainstream media, it's rigged so that no one knows the truth.
So stories happen out there, we just didn't look for it, and the media didn't try to make that the main narrative. Okay. All right. So you have also mentioned before that you have been to Hollywood celebrity parties, right? And can you tell us what those parties are like? Like how do they work? Who are there? What do they do?
It depends. I've been to elite parties where they're having orgies. They bring children into these parties. I was 14, 15. They bring children into the parties. They have orgies where there are sometimes more than 10 people, more than 30 people having sex at a time. I have been to elite festival parties where sex machines, multiple stations where people can fulfill their sick fetishes, whether that is drinking a child's blood, and I mean literally cutting someone and watching their blood come out and catching it like you are drinking out of a chocolate fountain. It's sometimes drug parties where they test drugs on children, tie them to walls, tie them to posts to have sex with them. So it depends on what they do. but they do a lot of evil things.
I see. So some children survive these kind of parties, some don't. All right.
Exactly.
I'm kind of curious about the lifestyle of these children who are involved in this kind of things like you, right? So you went to school, right? And how does this work? How do they decide who gets to go to school, who stay underground, or
In my time, I went to school, but I wasn't really at school. By the time that I got to high school, I had a education of a 5th grade child, maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. I loved being at school, but I could never be there peacefully. By the time that I was with my pimp who was taking me to elite parties, because I was in foster care and I was in the government system, he let me stay. As long as I came with him, he paid off my foster parents. He walked into my foster home one day and sat down with my foster dad, paid him off, and they let me leave out of the front door. They kept the garage open at night. Even though it was showing up that I was supposed to be at school, my pimp had someone who worked in my schools. And the recording system that calls you and tells you that your child is tardy or your child wasn't at school today, someone was strategically placed to make sure that no one was calling my foster home and no one was calling my social worker. Eventually, I wasn't in school. That's why I went to so many high schools. I wasn't in school. When I was a child, I was being beaten, raped, and abused so much that I was never really at school. I had, my name was in a school. I was enrolled into a school, but I was never really there. That's not always the case for everybody. Everything is different. It's different for every survivor. Some survivors may just stay with their pimp, drop out of school completely, and have to stay where they are. Sometimes I've been taken to a job where we went over the Mexico border, and because they had so many kids, they divvied them out depending on where they were going. So if you were crying too much, you went to somewhere underground and you stayed there. If you were already sick, and they're going to sell you to somebody who has AIDS or somebody who has some type of disease where they're dying anyway, so you're dying anyway, and they feel like they're just going to sell you to them. If you're not fighting back, they'll put you within escort services, dress you up and make you look like an adult, and nobody asks us any questions. For me, I was with my pimp. I wasn't with my pimps, Johns, and traffickers, 3 different things. So I was with my pimp. He told me, do what I say. If you do what you're supposed to do, we'll get married. He had other girls, other kids in his possession, but it was a competition at all times. And I did whatever I had to do, whether that was telling on them, putting them in danger, telling on what maybe if they tried to leave or if they tried to do something, I would tell on them. So that way I could stay in his good grace. So I became very close to him. By the time I was 15, I had a very expensive wedding ring on, a few of them that my adopted mom now smashed several times in the middle of the street because she didn't understand why I was coming home with bruises or coming to visitation or visits with her. And I'm telling her I'm married now at 15. I had bruises at one point. He cracked my ribs for talking back and doing something that I wasn't supposed to do, but I didn't see anything wrong with it. At the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I just thought, this is my husband. This is my boyfriend. I'm supposed to do what he says. And there were many times where everybody knew, but no one did anything. So I stayed very close to him until he auctioned me to Russia, and I ran from him as well.
I see. These children that have been trafficked, there were lots of them missing every year. And people know there's this thing called Amber Alert, right? So they don't get lots of messages from Amber Alert. Do you know what's wrong with that?
I do. If you look up who owns Amber Alert, that is John Podesta and the Rothschild. There are 13 dark Illuminati bloodlines, and they have created this system called Amber Alert. You have to think that how many times do you get one of those? But if you look up online where you are right now, how many children are missing in your area? How many children have been gone in your area? And then how many Amber Alerts do you receive? They put out certain ones, and usually some of those are in your face telling you what somebody is ordering. Those are lies. Some people have said, oh, well, we have found the child, but where are the rest of them? If you go into the stores, you'll see sometimes a wall of children that they're usually the same weight. The standard trafficking weight like 104 to 115. I was never allowed to go under 114 ever. I would be beat. They would take food away from me. I was never allowed to move a certain weight. So when I finally got with my mom that adopted me, I got really fat, side note, but I try to use dark humor. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but this is what I do to cope. Sorry.
It's a defense mechanism.
Yes. Yeah, it's the only thing I got, or I'll sit in a corner and cry.
Same as me.
Yeah, thank you. So see, you're not alone. But yeah, there's a situation with Amber Alert where you have to look at how many times do you get a weather alert for a flood in your area, or a snowstorm or a sandstorm coming. You should be getting the same amount of alerts for children, and you don't. And that's when you have to ask the question, why not? Why aren't we notified when someone is missing from our area? Why can't we help look for them? People put up lost dog flyers more than they do for children. Why is that? Amber Alert to me is a scam. And for the things that I know, some of my pimps used to tell me that they had to go or they had to start moving because when an Amber Alert came through, it was a signal. It's an order. Somebody will say there is a 4-year-old baby missing. They've been put in a blue Toyota. This is the license plate for it. The names of the person that took them is so-and-so. Sometimes that is an order right in your face that comes to your phone to tell you that there is a 4-year-old baby on their way to so-and-so. It's almost like a cushion for the public. Because in a million years, did you think that you would ever be looking up the fact that people are eating human flesh? There is something called Bite Lab that is out now. And Ellen DeGeneres was selling her blood so that she could put it into a steak. And so people can eat it and consume her blood. This is something that's not new. This is just something that they're bringing to your attention now because it's been in the dark for so long. So to me, Amber Alert is a cushion for people to feel better, like, oh, we're doing something, or oh, we know. And in reality, they're the ones guilty. You'll notice on mainstream media, people will talk about it. They'll bring you right up to it, but they'll never do a segment again. Look how many times people speak on COVID, but you don't hear people speak on child trafficking the same way, missing children the same way. This is not just something that's happening to foster children. This is something that is happening to all children. I think it's a scam.
All right. So when you say it's a signal, what do you mean exactly? Like, do you have to move because this area is kind of hot for you to stay in? All right.
Exactly.
I see.
Your pimps will get up, my pimps would get up and move and say, we have to go, we have to leave the area right now. It's also a pickup sometimes. There's a 4-year-old, there's a 6-year-old, there's a 15-year-old. And they've been headed eastbound in a blue car. This is the license plate. It's telling a trafficker that you're looking for this blue car headed eastbound because sometimes they can't text each other and just say, hey, I'm picking up a kid that's 15-year-old for sex. They can't do that. Sometimes they do it, but they can't do it all the time, depending on what level they are, whether they're elite, whether they're everyday people, whether they're someone with just a credible suit. They can't. Some people just don't outright say it. So this kind of signals them to do what they need to do.
But it sounds like it doesn't make a lot of sense because why would they do that publicly? It's better to do it privately, right? Using your phones, like cryptid channels. I'm not quite getting it.
They do things privately, but everything is in your face. There's things that are done publicly. There are things that are done. There are rituals that go on. I'm sorry, we're going to talk about rituals, but there are things that go on during concerts. They use signs, like Lady Gaga uses panda eyes as a mock to victims, when panda eyes is what happens to children after they're being sodomized. So they put things in your face for you to see. You know, once you realize what you're looking for, and once you realize that you don't live in the world you think you do, you can't unsee it. But a lot of people don't know about it, which makes it scary to talk about, which makes it scary to accept. And some people get extremely defensive, but it is what it is, and it's happening. Whether anybody likes it or not, it's happening, and people need to fight.
So it's sort of their dark humor to mock you, to show you what they do, but you can't do anything about it.